Hello and welcome to Ethical Tea, where we spill the tea about the world of ethics. Grab a tea and sit down and listen to your latest dose of ethical education. What's the Ethical Tea today? Hello and welcome back to Ethical Tea. I'm your host Millie, and today we have the We Look Free organiser Jack Fleming from Manchester. So we're going to discuss the topic of activism. Thank you for joining, Jack. How are you today?
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. It's 21st today.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. So we're going to hit off the show with some icebreaker questions. So question one, what's one thing that sets your soul on fire? Oh, these don't have to be like vegan related as well, or they can be if you wanted.
One thing that sets my soul on fire. I'd probably say activists really inspire me. And I'll give a recent example. So last Thursday, someone called Phoebe Plummer with Just Stop Oil was sent to prison for 6 months. And for those who don't know who she is, she was the one who threw the soup on the Van Gogh painting. And I just find that really inspiring, people who are willing to risk their lives and their liberties for something they really care about. So yeah, I'd say that's what really inspires me, is people stepping up and doing the right thing.
Yeah, coincidentally, I used to do activism with her when I was 15, 16, somewhere around there.
Oh, wow.
You Strike Manchester, so it's amazing to see like how everyone's progressed as activists. So the next icebreaker question is, what is the first thing you do in the morning? A bit of a random one.
Stretch. Yeah,
Oh, that is a
stretching.
good, it's got to be done. I did that for like
Yeah,
a week and then I stopped. I need to do that again.
yeah.
Continue it.
When you get old, it's something you really need to start doing.
Um, what is your favorite joke?
Um, I did actually look at one up before we did this podcast. I'm not going to say I got this off the cuff, so I'll give you this one. Why do they call almond milk milk?
Literally don't know. Why
Because
do they?
if people called it nut juice, they couldn't keep a straight face.
Uh, okay.
Yeah, that's quite bad. Quite
Yeah,
a bad
that's
joke.
quite a
But
silly one. Nice. So let's get started into the main chat that everyone's waiting for. So for the listeners, oh, I'm just gonna adjust my microphone. It's just tipping down a little bit. There we go. Ooh, maybe I'll just a chat. So for the listeners, how did you find out about veganism, and what was your beginning path of going vegan?
so for me, it started in 2020 during the COVID pandemic when we were all in lockdown. I was binging Netflix like everyone else, I think, and I came across a documentary called Game Changers. For those who don't know what Game Changers is, it's a documentary that follows a UFC fighter called James Wilkes, who looks into the benefits of a plant-based diet for health and fitness. And they basically find that whole foods plant-based diets are like really good for recovery and building muscle, and the blood work, the cholesterol was down, and it was just really interesting. They had a lot of evidence, and I basically went plant-based originally, and then I somehow came across the documentary called Dominion, which, for those who don't know, is a documentary all about animal agriculture in Australia, factory farms and slaughterhouses. And I forced myself to watch that. That was 2 hours long. I think 15 minutes in, I was already cringing, and I was like, oh my God, this is horrific what we do to animals. And yeah, that's how I sort of came across the ethics of veganism. And then activism wise, I came across Joey Carbstrong on YouTube, who I thought was very inspiring. And he sort of got me into doing the street outreach. I thought, I really want to do that. It was good fun.
Yeah, that's leading on to like the next few questions. So how did you find out about We the Free?
So I was doing street outreach already with Anonymous for the Voiceless, which I believe you started way before me doing that.
Yeah, probably when I was like 14, I started doing that somewhere around there. Maybe,
Yeah,
yeah, some
that's,
oh, probably maybe 16, probably. Um,
that's crazy. That's really, really inspiring.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I started out with Anonymous for the Voiceless doing street outreach in Manchester, which was about a year after I went vegan. So for me, being vegan and being an activist is just, it goes hand in hand. Like I couldn't imagine being a vegan and not an activist.
Yeah, I
So,
completely agree. I'm the same with you.
yeah.
So the We the Free message, what is it and how do you go about sharing this with the public?
So we the free message is basically the what we do is we show animal agriculture footage to people on the street, and we basically advocate for veganism. Um, I suppose the message is like, it's animal rights. That's the message.
Yeah. Yeah, I know your first experience was through Anonymous for the Voiceless, as we were just saying. How did you come across We the Free um and continue to why did you decide to continue doing activism?
Yeah, so I suppose my first introduction to activism was street outreach with Anonymous for the Voiceless. And then I also went to a vigil at a pig slaughterhouse as well, which, is bearing witness to the animals going to slaughter. That was sort of my second bit of activism I did. And that was really what got me into being an activist. It's something I'm really passionate about and I care about. And I suppose the We the Free came later on. So the organizer at the time for Anonymous for the Voiceless in Manchester had a bit of a falling out with the management. So he wanted to try a different group. And that's when he found We the Free. And he asked me to be a co-organizer with him. Um, the only difference with We the Free and Anonymous for the Voiceless, I think, is with We the Free, it's not as so with Anonymous for the Voiceless, it's more like a uniform. At We the Free, we don't have that. And we don't sort of tell people how to advocate either. It's a lot more flexible, I think. We the Free, we just sort of encourage people to advocate how they think best for the animals and wear what you like.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that openness definitely like allows people from different backgrounds, yeah, people from different backgrounds and communities, so it makes our community wider. Um, yeah, I know that I found out about We the Free through the the Anonymous for the Voiceless organizer at the time. When We the Free was first starting up, I was like invited to the introductions and stuff. But then because of COVID hitting, like I went to a few video calls and then it kind of just faded out for me. But then late down the line, as we got back on the streets to do activism, I joined We the Free at that later date. So we're going to talk about some public response stuff now. What are the ways that the public tend to react towards the footage that you do show?
yeah, we get a complete variety of reactions. Some people are shocked; they've never seen it before. Some people are quite uh, defensive. They try and make excuses for the way we treat animals. Some people even work in these industries. We get slaughterhouse workers, we get people who work on these farms. So yeah, we get a huge variety of reactions, some good, some bad. But that's what makes it worthwhile. It's dealing with all these different kinds of people, and yeah, it's good fun to have these conversations with people, and yeah.
Yeah, in response to the reactions that the and public have, how do you go about each individual conversation with the different type of response that the person has?
So We the Free, we sort of advocate like a coaching style. So we try and coach people to a vegan conclusion, basically. So we do this through like asking and answering questions. So we sort of say, have you seen this before? Do you think it's cruel to kill an animal? How does it make you feel? Do you think this is a problem? And then ultimately, do you think there's anything we can do as individuals to stop this happening? Because, you know, these industries that do this to animals, it's a supply and demand, isn't it?
Yeah, I definitely like that. Asking the questions like what can you do on an individual level, rather than just saying you need to go vegan. But like it's for them
Yeah,
to come to that conclusion that I do really like about this type of activism. Um,
yeah, for sure.
yeah.
We're not
Uh,
there to tell people what to do. We're there to sort of get them to realize what they need to do.
yeah, and that definitely, I was gonna ask about what is the aim of showing the footage, and then obviously, as you just said, it is to go vegan, um, in their own um in their own way of getting to that point. I know from my experience, we've had children stop and watch the footage without parents being unaware if they're like distracted looking at a shop window, something like that. What has the team been trained to do in this situation?
Yeah, so it comes up sometimes. Some people come and troll us and say, "Oh, why are you showing this to children?" or something like along those lines. And I just basically say, "Look, you know, we're not showing this to children. It's up to children's parents. It's up to the guardians to decide whether their child should view this or not." But ultimately, children are eating these animals too. You know, their parents and their guardians are feeding what we're showing to children as well. And I think children should have a right to know what's happening to animals and the animals that they're eating. And I think a lot of children recognise that what we're doing to animals is wrong. I think it's only as we're sort of conditioned in society to not see these animals as victims. But children usually recognise right and wrong more so than adults. You know, I think we could learn a lot from children. You know, they tend to be much more empathetic than when they grow up.
Yeah, I know there's like some videos online of children basically saying to their parents like I don't want to eat meat anymore because they've
Yeah,
realized what meat is. Um and there's I feel like they're so impactful videos because it really shows how like intelligent children are.
and it was
And
probably the same with you. You were quite young when you went vegan, weren't you?
yeah, it's like and also the cognitive dissonance that we have as adults because of the way we've been raised towards what we think about consuming animals.
Yeah,
Um,
like we think we're animal lovers, but then we go and pay for them to be killed. You know, that's what cognitive dissonance is, isn't it? It's having these two conflicting beliefs at the same time.
are there any other like concerns that the public may have towards this method of activism and why you may disagree with this outlook?
Any concerns they might have?
I
I
suppose you
mean,
mentioned
some people,
trolls, didn't you?
yeah, oh yeah, we get trolls. Yeah, that goes without saying. With being vegan, you you're definitely going to get some trolls if you're vegan. That's for sure. Some people do like to sort of say, "Oh, you shouldn't do it like this. This is too confronting. You should do it a different way. Do it more." People like to sort of tell you to do it a different way, but you know they're not out there doing it that way. You know, what I'm trying to say is people like to sort of say, "Oh, do it this way, do it that way," but you know they're not doing it. So why is our way any different to the way they would want to do it?
Yeah, I understand
So,
what you're saying. It's like the different forms of activism. Like, for example, we've got pig safe vigils, um, or animal vigils in general. Um, uh, Animal Rising, um, Just Stop Oil. I know that's outside of the vegan reign, but like I think it all definitely comes together. Um, morally. Like vegans do tend to support all these different types of activism.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So for anyone who may be vegan already or is considering going vegan and really is intrigued by what you do as an organizer, what are your roles and responsibility as an organizer?
I suppose primarily it's transporting the equipment to your location of where you're doing your outreach event. That's probably the main thing I do. Briefing activists at the event to make sure everyone knows what they're doing and what we're going to be doing there that day. And just being friendly and approachable, I suppose, to the activists. Make sure that you're a person they can come to if they have any concerns or they're struggling or they don't know what to say. Yeah.
Yeah, and like for anyone who's wanting to generally join just as an activist, how can they get in contact with We the Free?
So We the Free has a website, which I believe is wethefree.activism.co.uk. You can look on there for your local chapter, or you can search them on Facebook, find your local chapters, or you could even start your own if there isn't a local one, which they are doing in Liverpool very shortly. They'll be starting a new We the Free there, which is exciting.
What is one piece of advice you would give to someone wanting to become an activist or even an organizer?
Do it. Just do it. You'll never know until you try it. But I can say from personal experience, being an activist and being a vegan's honestly changed my life for the better. I've never met such a variety of people. I've never travelled so much up and down the country doing activism. It's really enriched my life for the better.
I think one thing.
Say to it.
Sorry. Yeah, I think one thing on my end is that I've definitely like the community of people like that. I feel like I have such deep conversations with people about just social issues in general, and I can connect with people on deeper levels because of this is a shared value that we have. I think it's just really an amazing community.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I've honestly never met such kind, compassionate people in my life. I've met some real good friends through being a vegan and an activist, and it's really changed my life. I'm very grateful for everyone I've met and everything I've done.
Hello, everyone. So outside of the podcast, I just wanted to add on. It's currently 1:30 in the morning, and I just want to highlight the importance that like disagreements happen in the vegan community, and I think there's a lot of development that still needs to happen. An issue that like I've experienced lately, is that people in the vegan community tend to focus on picking at each other rather than focusing on animals' rights as a whole. I think it's important to hold people accountable for their actions. Come from a compassionate standpoint. Because I don't think it's fair to like exclude people because we are an inclusive community. But at the same time, if people are not listening and being hurt, like made accountable, it's about that even level. I hope that's a little add-on because I do want to make sure, even though this podcast is about the world of ethics, ethically everything is not perfect in the world, and we're all striving for a better world, and this is what the podcast is about.
Thank you for your time. I believe that this is the end of the podcast now. Is there anything in additional that you would like to say to the listeners?
Go vegan.
There you go. That's the message. and become an activist.
Yes, yeah, we do need activists, yeah.
And organisers. We need you all.
Yeah. I'll leave you with a quote on that. I'll say, "The world won't be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch and do nothing." Albert Einstein said that.